My name is Rachel Mitchell, and I'm 58 years old. 2 weeks after my husband's funeral, my own son-in-law called me weak and worthless, then threw me out of my daughter's house in front of 15 family members. While my daughter inherited a $3 million mansion in the capital, I was left with nothing but a rundown shack in remote Montana. Everyone said I got what I deserved, the forgotten wife who'd given her best years to a man who clearly valued his daughter more. But when I finally drove 18 hours to that abandoned house, what I discovered in the basement changed everything. The truth about my husband's will, my daughter's betrayal, and a $15 million secret that would bring them all to their knees. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. This is the story of how I learned that sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't what it seems. The mahogany conference table at Henderson & Associates felt cold under my trembling fingers. Jennifer sat to my right, her perfectly manicured hand intertwined with Brad's. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Before we begin," Mr. Henderson adjusted his glasses, "Thomas wanted me to express his love for both of you." Brad snorted. "Just get to the numbers." I shot him a look, but he was already scrolling through his phone. Jennifer placed a gentle hand on his arm, a gesture I'd seen her make 100 times to calm him. My daughter, once so strong, now seemed to shrink beside him. "Very well." Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. "To my beloved daughter, Jennifer Mitchell Harrison, I leave the family estate at 1247 Pemberton Drive, valued at $3.2 million, along with its contents." Jennifer gasped. Brad's face split into a grin. Finally, something worthy of us. My heart hammered. Thomas and I had built that house together, raised Jennifer there. Every room held 35 years of memories. "To my devoted wife, Rachel," Mr. Henderson continued, "I leave the property at 588 Mountain View Road, Whitefish, Montana." Silence. Brad burst out laughing. "The Montana shack? That dump's been rotting for 20 years. "Brad," Jennifer whispered, but her protest was weak. "What? It's true. I saw the photos when Tom showed me. Maybe worth 50 grand if you bulldoze it first." He leaned back, smirking. "Guess we know who the favorite was." Mr. Henderson shifted uncomfortably. "There are some personal effects as well." "Save it." Brad stood, pulling Jennifer up. "We got what matters. The rest is just junk." I found my voice. "Thomas always said that house meant something special to him." "Yeah, special like a storage unit." Brad checked his Rolex. "Jen, we have that contractor meeting at 2 for the renovation." Jennifer finally looked at me, her eyes glistening. "Mom, maybe you could stay in our guest house, just temporarily?" Brad's jaw tightened. "We discussed this, babe." "Right." She looked away. "We discussed it." As they gathered their things, Mr. Henderson touched my shoulder gently. "Mrs. Mitchell, Thomas did leave you this. He handed me an old brass key. He said you'd know what to do with it." I stared at the key, its weight strange in my palm. "Thomas, what were you thinking?" 2 weeks had passed since the will reading. Jennifer insisted on hosting a family dinner. "To help everyone move forward," she'd said. I should have known better. The dining room buzzed with conversation. Thomas's siblings, their spouses, cousins I hadn't seen since the funeral. 15 people around Jennifer's extended table, the one I'd helped her pick out 3 Christmases ago. "More wine, Mom?" Jennifer offered, her smile tight. Before I could answer, Brad clinked his fork against his glass. "Everyone, attention, please." The room quieted. My stomach twisted. "First, let's thank my beautiful wife for this amazing spread." He kissed Jennifer's cheek. She blushed, touching her belly in a subtle gesture I almost missed. "And second, we have some news to share." "We're pregnant!" Jennifer blurted out, her hand now openly on her stomach. Congratulations erupted. Hugs, kisses, excited chatter. I stood to embrace my daughter, tears in my eyes. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so happy." "Which brings us to the elephant in the room." Brad's voice cut through the celebration like ice. Everyone turned. "With a baby coming, we need to make some changes." He looked directly at me. "Rachel, you've been staying here for 2 weeks now." "Brad, not now," Jennifer whispered. "When then? After the baby comes?" He shook his head. "Look, Rachel, I'll be frank. You're a financial burden we can't afford. Not with a nursery to build, college funds to start." Cousin Marie gasped. "Brad!" "What? Someone has to say it." He stood straighter. "She got a house in Montana. It's time she used it." "That's 60 miles from the nearest hospital," Thomas's brother Robert protested. "She's almost 60. "Exactly my point. A weak woman like you doesn't deserve real estate in the capital anyway." Brad's words hit like slaps. "You contributed nothing to Thomas's success. He built his fortune while you played nurse." "I worked full-time for 30 years, I managed. Wiping bedpans isn't a career." He pulled out his phone, showing something to Jennifer. "The moving truck comes tomorrow. We've already packed your things." Jennifer was crying now, but she nodded. Just nodded. "You're throwing me out?" My voice cracked. "Your father's been dead 3 weeks." "Don't be dramatic. You have a house." Brad put his arm around Jennifer. "Pack your things tonight. The Montana house is waiting." Uncle Robert stood. "This is disgraceful." "This is family business." Brad's tone turned sharp. "Jennifer agrees, don't you, babe?" My daughter looked at me, tears streaming. "Mom, it's what's best. For everyone." The room was silent. 15 witnesses to my humiliation, and not one of them could change what was happening. The highway stretched endless before me, 18 hours of asphalt between my old life and whatever waited in Montana. My ancient Honda Civic, packed with everything Brad deemed yours, rattled with each mile. Hour 3, I stopped for gas outside Sacramento. My hands shook as I filled the tank. "Rachel? Rachel Mitchell?" I turned. A woman about my age stood by the next pump, familiar but not quite placeable. "It's Diana. From Thomas's company picnics?" "Oh, yes." I managed a weak smile. "I heard about Thomas. I'm so sorry." She paused. "Are you heading to the Montana property?" I froze. "How did you—" "Thomas mentioned it last year. Said it was his most important investment." She lowered her voice. "He said Montana holds the real treasure." Those were his exact words. Before I could respond, she was gone, leaving me with more questions than gallons of gas. Hour 8. "Somewhere in Nevada," Jennifer called. "Mom, just checking you're okay." "I'm driving, sweetheart." "Brad's worried you're upset." I almost laughed. "Brad's worried?" "He means well. He wants what's best for our baby." "Jennifer, are you happy?" Silence. Then, "I have to go. Brad needs me." The line went dead. Hour 12. I pulled into a rest stop in Idaho. My back ached, my eyes burned. In the restroom mirror, I looked every one of my 58 years. Maybe Brad was right. Maybe I was weak. Thomas's voice echoed in my memory. "Rachel, you're the strongest person I know." "Then why did you leave me with nothing?" I asked the empty bathroom. Hour 15. Montana finally. The landscape changed. Mountains rising like promises or threats, I couldn't tell which. Towns grew smaller, farther apart. My GPS started losing signal. At a tiny gas station in Whitefish, the attendant, an elderly man named Carl, recognized Thomas's name immediately. "Mr. Mitchell?" "Oh yes, he came through regular-like. Always alone, always heading up the mountain. Nice man, real purposeful, if you know what I mean." "When was the last time?" "Maybe 6 months back. Had some young couple with him that time. Pretty girl, looked like him. Husband was a piece of work, though. City type, complained about everything." Jennifer and Brad had been here. They'd seen the house. They knew exactly what they were sending me to. The betrayal cut deeper than Brad's cruelty ever could. The GPS died completely 3 miles from the destination. I followed Carl's hand-drawn directions up the mountain road, gravel crunching under my tires. Then I saw it. Thomas hadn't exaggerated. The house slumped against the mountainside like it had given up. Paint peeled in sheets, the porch sagged, and weeds claimed everything below the windows. This was my inheritance. I sat in the car for 5 minutes, engine running, fighting tears. Then I saw movement. Someone emerging from the house next door, a modest but well-kept cabin about 50 yards away. "You must be Rachel." The woman approaching was perhaps 65, silver-haired, carrying a covered dish. Her smile was warm, genuine. "I'm Martha Brennan. I've been watching for you." She glanced at the house. "I know how it looks, but Thomas had his reasons." "You knew my husband?" "Oh, yes. He'd stay for days at a time working in that back room." She handed me the dish, still warm apple cobbler. "Always alone, always focused on something. Said he was preparing." "Preparing for what?" Martha's eyes flickered. "Thomas had his reasons," she repeated. "Come by if you need anything. And Rachel, don't judge the house by its cover." Inside was worse and better than expected. Dust everywhere, furniture covered in sheets, but structurally sound. The kitchen needed updating but functioned. The living room held Thomas's old leather chair, the one from his first office. But it was his study that stopped me cold. Unlike the rest of the house, this room was pristine, maintained. The desk held no dust, the papers were organized, dated just 6 months ago, a laptop plugged in and charged, a filing cabinet locked. In the center drawer, beneath false bottom, I recognized from our first apartment, Thomas loved his hiding spots, lay another key. Brass, old, with a number, 1947, our wedding year. I searched everywhere. No lock matched. Not the filing cabinet, not the closets, not even the old shed outside. "What were you hiding, Thomas?" On the desk, I found a sticky note in his handwriting. "She'll know where to look when she's ready. She, not they." He knew I'd come alone. A knock interrupted my thoughts. Martha stood at the door with fresh bread and soup. "Figured you hadn't eaten." Over dinner, she mentioned almost casually, Thomas spent most of his time in the basement. "There's no basement. I checked." Martha smiled. "Thomas had his reasons for everything, even the rugs." After she left, I stood in the living room, staring at the ancient Persian rug, the one spot in the house that seemed deliberately placed, deliberately maintained. My heart began to race. I pulled back the Persian rug, dust swirling in the afternoon light. My knees protested as I knelt, running my hands along the floorboards. There, a seam too perfect to be natural, a hidden latch painted to match the wood. I pressed it. A section of floor lifted on silent hinges, revealing stairs descending into darkness. My heart hammered as I grabbed Thomas's old flashlight from the kitchen. The basement shouldn't exist. Montana houses rarely had basements. The ground was too rocky. Yet here it was, concrete walls smooth and dry. At the bottom, a single door, steel, with a lock that had waited 20 years for the key in my pocket. 1947 slid in perfectly. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered to life automatically. The room was climate-controlled, pristine. A wall of filing cabinets, a safe, and a desk with documents spread across it, as if Thomas had just stepped out. The top document made me sink into the nearest chair. The Mitchell Foundation for Retired Healthcare Workers, established 2019. Initial endowment, $15,000. 15 million, not 3, not the house Jennifer got. 15. My hands shook as I read further. The foundation's purpose, providing financial assistance to retired nurses facing hardship. The founder, Thomas Mitchell. The designated executor, to be determined by character test outlined in Document B. Document B was a second will, notarized, witnessed, dated 1 month after the one Henderson read. The true inheritor of the Mitchell Foundation must demonstrate genuine care over material greed. They must choose service over selfishness. They must live 6 months in the Montana property, understanding what matters beyond money. A sticky note was attached. "Rachel, I knew you'd come alone. Jennifer came with Brad 6 months ago. They found this room. I made sure of it. They read these documents. They chose the mansion anyway. Now you know why." The room spun. Jennifer knew. She'd stood in this very room, read these very words, and still let Brad throw me out. Still chose the obvious money over what? I kept reading. Upon completing 6 months' residence, the executor gains full control of the foundation, including distribution of funds, investment decisions, and the power to appoint successors. At the bottom, in Thomas's handwriting, the mansion is worth $3 million. The foundation generates $3 million in interest annually. Jennifer chose the egg. You, my love, will choose the chicken. There was more. Folders of legal documents, investment portfolios, correspondence with attorneys. But one letter, sealed, was addressed to me personally. I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. If this story resonates with you, if you've ever felt overlooked or undervalued by family, please hit that subscribe button. Your support helps me share more stories about standing up for yourself. I know what it's like to question everything you thought you knew about the people you love. Sometimes the hardest truths come from the ones closest to us. Now, let me tell you what I discovered in those documents, because what Thomas had planned went deeper than just money. This was about justice, about protection, and about a husband who saw the future clearer than any of us. I spread the documents across the basement desk, my nurse's training kicking in, methodical, thorough, missing nothing. The Mitchell Foundation wasn't just generous, it was brilliantly structured. Thomas had built in safeguards against exactly what Jennifer and Brad attempted. The executor, me, if I qualified, couldn't just take the money. Every dollar had to serve retired healthcare workers with mandatory annual audits. But the real genius was in the fine print. Any attempt to circumvent, forge, or fraudulently claim executor status results in immediate disqualification and potential criminal prosecution. My blood ran cold. Had they tried something? I found my answer in a folder marked Security Copies. Inside, photocopies of documents I didn't recognize. A power of attorney, dated 3 weeks ago, when I was in the hospital with pneumonia. My signature at the bottom, except I'd never signed it. The forgery was good, but not perfect. My real signature had a distinctive loop in the R of Rachel. This one was too smooth, practiced but not lived in. More documents. Transfer papers for the foundation, naming Brad as co-executor. Applications for immediate liquidation of assets. All with my forged signature, all dated during my hospital stay. They hadn't just known about the money, they'd tried to steal it. Thomas's letter to me suddenly made sense. I tore it open. My dearest Rachel, if you're reading this, you found the basement, which means you came alone. I knew you would. It also means Jennifer made her choice, and I'm sorry for the pain that must cause you. Brad Harrison is a con artist. I've had him investigated for 3 years. Previous marriages, previous scams, always targeting families with inheritance potential. I couldn't prove enough for legal action, but I could protect you. The 6-month requirement isn't random. It's the statutory period for challenging fraudulent documents in Montana. If Brad tries anything, and he will, you'll be here to stop it. The real will is filed with David Hutchinson in Whitefish. He's expecting you. Trust him. He was my student, and he's clean. Jennifer isn't evil, Rachel. She's trapped. Brad's isolated her, made her dependent. The pregnancy is likely fake. It's his pattern. But she has to want to leave. You can't save someone who won't grab the rope. Live in our house, find your strength, then fight. All my love, Thomas P.S. Check the filing cabinet, 3rd drawer. Jennifer and Brad's visit was recorded. Security cameras, Rachel, always have evidence. I pulled open the 3rd drawer. 6 USB drives, each labeled with dates. The last one, J&B visit, January 2024. My daughter had stood in this room 6 months ago, knowing everything, and still chose to betray me. But Thomas was right. This wasn't over. Martha's kitchen smelled of cinnamon and coffee. She'd invited me for dinner, and after 3 days of processing Thomas's revelations alone, I needed human company. You found it then, she said, not a question. You knew about the basement? I knew Thomas. 20 years ago, I was his executive assistant at Mitchell Enterprises, before he sold the company, before Brad entered the picture. She poured tea with steady hands. I retired here. Thomas bought the house next door 5 years later. Said he needed a witness he could trust. A witness to what? Martha pulled out her phone, scrolling to emails. To this! The email was from Brad, dated 2 weeks ago. Martha, I know you're Thomas's old secretary. I need information about the Montana property. There are documents there that belong to my wife. I'm willing to pay $50,000 for your cooperation. This is family business. Rachel doesn't need to be involved. 50,000, I breathed. The next one offered 100. Martha showed me Brad's escalating desperation. When I didn't respond, he got nasty. The final email was a threat. Old women living alone in remote areas should be careful. Accidents happen. Give me what I need or I'll take it anyway. You should go to the police. With David Hutchinson, actually, Thomas's lawyer. We've been building a file. Martha's eyes sharpened. Your husband saw this coming years ago, Rachel. Every move Brad would make, every pressure point he'd try. Then why didn't he just divorce Jennifer from Brad? Could he? Could you? She's an adult. She made her choice. Martha reached across the table, squeezing my hand. Thomas said something once. Rachel will know what to do when she stops trying to save everyone else first. That night, Martha showed me more. Photos of Brad meeting with various people in Whitefish, always at the same cafe. One face appeared repeatedly. A woman who looked official, carried briefcase. County clerk's office, Martha explained. Brad's been trying to file documents. David's been blocking them, but Brad doesn't know that yet. How long has this been going on? Since the day after the funeral. He didn't even wait for Thomas to be cold. Martha's voice hardened. But here's what Brad doesn't know. Thomas recorded everything, every conversation in that house, every phone call to his office, all legal in Montana, single-party consent state. She handed me another USB drive from Thomas's office system, the day Jennifer and Brad visited. You need to hear what your daughter really knows. I pocketed the drive, my heart heavy. Martha, why are you helping me? Because 20 years ago, Thomas helped me leave my own abusive marriage. He said someday I'd return the favor. She smiled sadly. Your husband knew exactly what he was doing, Rachel. Every single move. Back in the basement, I inserted Martha's USB drive with trembling fingers. Thomas's office security system had captured everything. The timestamp read January 15th, 2024. Jennifer and Brad in Thomas's private office. The audio was crystal clear. This is it? Brad's voice, dismissive. Bunch of old furniture and tax records? Dad said there was more. Jennifer sounded tired. He wouldn't just leave Mom the worthless house. Your mom's getting exactly what she deserves. Nothing. Brad, please. She's my mother. Who chose nursing over networking? Your dad built an empire while she played Florence Nightingale. Face it, Jen, she's weak. Papers rustling. Then Brad's sharp intake of breath. Holy shit, Jen, look at this. The Mitchell Foundation? $15 million? That can't be right. It's right. And look, executor requirements. A pause. 6 months in this dump, but after that, full control. We should tell Mom. Are you insane? Tell her about $15 million? She'd give it all away to charity. That's what it's for, Brad. Retired nurses. That's waste. That money should be building our empire, our kids' future. We don't even know if I'm pregnant yet. You will be. Or we'll say you are. Whatever it takes. Brad's voice turned calculating. Here's what we do. We take the mansion. That's guaranteed money. Then we wait. Your mom's old, weak. She won't last 6 months here alone. When she fails, the foundation reverts to next of kin. Us. That's cruel. That's smart. But just in case... More rustling. I'm taking photos of everything, including this signature page. Amazing what you can do with DocuSign these days. My blood turned ice cold. He'd planned the forgery 6 months ago. Jennifer's voice, smaller. What if she does last 6 months? She won't. I'll make sure of it. The recording ended. I sat in the dark, absorbing the betrayal. Then I called David Hutchinson. Mrs. Mitchell, I've been expecting your call. You knew? Thomas prepared me. Can you come to my office tomorrow? Bring everything you've found. The next morning, David's office felt like sanctuary. He was younger than expected, maybe 45, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Your husband was my mentor," he said. "Taught me everything about trust law, including how to spot fraud." He showed me Brad's filed documents. Power of attorney, transfer papers, all with forged signatures. He filed them electronically 2 days ago. Are they valid? Not even close. Besides the obvious forgery, he made a crucial mistake. The documents are dated when you were hospitalized. I have your medical records showing you were on a ventilator, unconscious. David smiled grimly. Hard to sign documents when you're intubated. So Brad gains nothing? Brad gains a criminal record if we play this right. The question is, what do you want, Mrs. Mitchell? For the first time in weeks, I felt something beyond hurt. I felt angry, righteously, powerfully angry. I want justice. David and I worked through the weekend, building an airtight case. His office became war room, documents covering every surface. Brad's made 3 critical errors, David explained. First, the forgeries. Second, threatening Martha. That's felony intimidation. Third, he's been presenting himself as Jennifer's financial advisor without a license. Is that enough? To arrest him? Yes. To protect the foundation? Absolutely. To save your daughter? He paused. That's harder. We gathered evidence methodically. My medical records from Mercy General showed I was unconscious for 3 days, on a ventilator, physically incapable of signing anything. The head nurse, Carmen Rodriguez, provided a sworn affidavit. I remember Mr. Harrison visiting, Carmen told me over the phone. He asked weird questions about your condition. Wanted to know when you'd be coherent enough for legal matters. I thought it was odd. Martha contributed her emails and a recording she'd made of Brad when he showed up at her door. Where are the documents, old woman? I don't know what you mean. Don't play dumb. Thomas's files, the foundation papers, I know you have them. Young man, you're trespassing. I'm family. Rachel's son-in-law. This is family business. Then bring Rachel. The recording caught Brad's snarl. Rachel's irrelevant. She'll sign whatever I tell her to sign. David whistled. That's admission of coercion. Beautiful. We found 3 other victims. Brad had run similar scams in Portland and Seattle. Elderly parents, inherited property, forged documents. The FBI had a file, but never enough for prosecution. This time's different, David said. Thomas made sure of that. On Tuesday, Jennifer called. Mom, how's Montana? I kept my voice neutral. Cold, quiet. Brad wants to visit to help with repairs. That's not necessary. He insists. He feels bad about dinner. He wants to apologize. I could hear Brad coaching her in the background. Tell her about the baby. Mom, with the baby coming, we want family unity. When are you due, sweetheart? A pause. September. I did quick math. She'd announced the pregnancy 3 weeks ago. September was too far off. She was lying, or Brad was making her lie. I need time, Jennifer. Alone. But Brad says, I don't care what Brad says. I kept my tone firm but not angry. This is my house, my time to grieve. I'll let you know when I'm ready for visitors. Brad grabbed the phone. Rachel, stop being stubborn. We're trying to help. No, thank you. You can't handle that place alone. You're not strong enough. We'll see. I hung up. David looked impressed. You're learning to set boundaries. I'm learning to fight. I looked at our evidence wall. Thomas knew I'd need all of this, didn't he? He knew Brad would escalate. The foundation board meets in 3 weeks. Brad will make his move before then. Then we'll be ready. Thursday morning, I heard a car climbing the gravel drive. Through the window, I saw Jennifer's white Mercedes, alone. She stood at my door with grocery bags and a tentative smile. Hi, Mom. Jennifer, I wasn't expecting you. I know, I missed you. She lifted the bags. I brought your favorites. That spinach lasagna you taught me? My heart ached. She looked like my little girl again, vulnerable and seeking approval. But Thomas's warning echoed. She has to want to leave. I let her in. Jennifer busied herself in the kitchen, chattering nervously about renovations, baby names, anything but the real reason she was here. I noticed her phone propped against the backsplash, screen dark, but positioned perfectly to record. "The house isn't as bad as Brad said," she observed, unpacking groceries. "It needs work, but it's solid." She moved through the rooms, phone always in hand, taking photos. "This could be nice, actually, with some investment. I like it as is." "Mom, you can't stay here forever. It's so isolated." "Your father stayed here often." Jennifer's hand stilled. "Did he? Brad said—" She caught herself. "What did Brad say?" "Nothing. Just, he thinks Dad was going senile, making bad decisions." "Like leaving me this house?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Like a lot of things." We ate lunch in strained silence. Jennifer kept glancing at her phone, typing quick messages. Finally, she pulled out a folder. "Mom, I need you to sign something." My chest tightened. "What is it?" "Power of attorney. Just temporary. Brad says Brad thinks it would help with the property taxes and maintenance. He could manage things for you." "I can manage my own affairs." "Mom, please. You're alone here. What if something happens? What if you fall? Have another pneumonia episode? Then I'll handle it." Her voice turned sharp. "Why are you being so stubborn? Why are you being so insistent?" She stood abruptly, pacing. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Brad's business is struggling. We need—" She stopped. "You need what, Jennifer?" "Nothing. Forget it." She grabbed the papers. "I should go." "Jen, wait." I touched her arm. "Are you happy?" For a moment, her mask slipped. I saw fear, exhaustion, desperation. Then it was gone. "I'm fine. Brad's wonderful. The baby's perfect." She pulled away. "Mom, you would sign anything for your grandchild, right? To secure their future?" The manipulation was so obvious it hurt. "I'd do anything to protect my family, including saying no when necessary." Her face hardened. "Brad was right. You're just a selfish old woman." The words stung, but I recognized Brad's voice coming from my daughter's mouth. She stormed out, leaving the groceries, the folder, and her mother behind. Through the window, I watched her car disappear, wondering if I'd lost her forever. Jennifer returned the next day with Brad. I watched them from the window, him coaching her nodding mechanically. When I opened the door, she'd been crying. "Mom, please, can we talk?" Brad stood behind her, hand possessive on her shoulder. "We're here as a family, Rachel." I let them in but stayed near the door. Jennifer sat on Thomas's old couch, hands protectively over her belly. "Mom, I need you to understand. This baby changes everything." "When did you find out you were pregnant?" 6 weeks ago, Brad answered quickly, right before Thomas passed. I did the math again. The timeline still didn't work. "Have you seen a doctor?" Jennifer glanced at Brad. "Not yet, but I took 3 tests." "Sweetheart, you should have prenatal care by now." "We've been busy with the estate," Brad interjected. "Which is why we need your cooperation." He pulled out the power of attorney again, plus new documents. "This is for the baby's future, Rachel. College fund, trust account, security." I scanned the papers. Hidden in legal language was complete control over all my assets, including anything I might inherit. "I'm not signing this." "Mom!" Jennifer stood abruptly. "How can you be so heartless? Your grandchild needs—" "Jennifer, are you actually pregnant?" The silence stretched taut. Jennifer's hand went to her belly, but the gesture seemed rehearsed. Brad exploded. "How dare you question—" "I'm a nurse, Brad. I know pregnancy. Jennifer's not showing any signs. No morning sickness, no fatigue, no physical changes. You haven't seen me in weeks. I'm seeing you now." I kept my voice gentle. "Sweetheart, if you're lying about this—" "She's not lying!" Brad stepped forward aggressively. "You're just a bitter old woman who can't accept that your daughter chose me over you." "I never asked her to choose. You didn't have to. Your weakness, your poverty mindset, your pathetic nursing career—" Jennifer deserves better. Brad, stop, Jennifer whispered. No, she needs to hear this. He turned back to me. Sign the papers, or you'll never see your grandchild. Real or imagined, we'll make sure you're cut off. Get out of my house. This isn't your house for long. I've seen the tax bills. You can't afford this place on your pension. I said get out. Brad grabbed the papers. Come on, Jen. Your mother's made her choice. Jennifer stood slowly. At the door, she turned back. Mom, I'm sorry. For what, sweetheart? Her eyes filled with tears. For everything. For what's coming. Brad says you're going to lose everything anyway. This was your chance to make it easier. Jennifer, you can stay. Without him. We can figure this out. She shook her head. You don't understand. It's too late. Brad's already filed. She caught herself, glancing fearfully at her husband. Filed what? Brad yanked her out the door. You'll find out soon enough. That night I couldn't sleep. Jennifer's words haunted me. It's too late. I returned to the basement, to Thomas's files, searching for what I'd missed. In a locked drawer I'd overlooked, I found Thomas's personal journal. The final entry was dated a week before his death. Rachel will read this when she's ready. When she stops trying to save Jennifer and starts saving herself. Brad Harrison is more dangerous than even I knew. The FBI contacted me. He's connected to a larger fraud ring targeting elderly estates. They need solid evidence for prosecution. I've provided what I can, but they need him to act, to commit provable fraud. I'm dying, Rachel. The doctors gave me 3 months. I lasted 2. I didn't tell you because you would have spent those months caring for me instead of preparing for what's coming. Brad married Jennifer for our money. He's isolated her, made her dependent, possibly drugged her. She's not the same person. The pregnancy is fake. I had her medical records checked. She had an IUD implanted 2 years ago, never removed. I've set everything up. The foundation is protected by ironclad legal structure. David has all the documents. Martha has the recordings. The FBI is watching. But you, my love, you have to be strong enough to let Jennifer fall before you can catch her. Brad will escalate. He'll threaten, forge, possibly worse. Don't cave. Don't sign anything. The house in Montana isn't a punishment. It's a fortress. It's where you'll make your stand. Everything you need is there. I'm sorry for the deception, but if I'd told you everything, you would have tried to fix it all immediately. Jennifer needs to see Brad's true nature without your protection. She needs to want to leave. Trust David. Trust Martha. Trust yourself. All my love, Thomas. A USB drive was taped to the last page. I plugged it into Thomas's laptop. His face appeared on screen, thin but smiling, clearly recorded in his final days. Rachel, if you're watching this, you found everything. I know you're hurt. I know you feel betrayed. But every choice I made was to protect you. Brad's going to claim the foundation money. He's going to threaten you. He might even hurt Jennifer to get to you. But you're stronger than he knows. You're stronger than you know. The board meeting is your battlefield. David has everything prepared. When Brad makes his move, and he will, you'll be ready. Save our daughter, but save yourself first. I love you, Rachel. I've always loved you. Be brave. The video ended. I sat in the basement of the house my husband left me, understanding finally that it wasn't abandonment. It was armor. Tomorrow, I'd call David. We'd accelerate our timeline. Brad thought I was weak and alone. He was about to learn how wrong he was. Saturday morning brought unexpected visitors. 3 women stood at my door, all around my age, wearing matching Mitchell Foundation pins I didn't know existed. Mrs. Mitchell? I'm Sarah Patterson. This is Dorothy Williams and Maria Santos. We're from the Foundation. I tensed. I wasn't aware the Foundation was active. It has been for 2 years, Dorothy explained. Your husband helped us when no one else would. May we come in? Over coffee, their stories unfolded. Sarah, a retired cardiac nurse, lost everything in a divorce. Thomas's foundation paid her legal fees and first year's rent. Dorothy, 30 years in pediatric ICU, faced bankruptcy from medical bills. The foundation cleared her debts. Maria's husband died, leaving nothing but debt. The foundation saved her home. We're 3 of 12 current beneficiaries, Maria said. Thomas never wanted recognition. The paperwork all went through anonymous LLCs. But we knew, Sarah added. He'd visit sometimes, check on us. Such a kind man. Why are you here now? They exchanged glances. Dorothy spoke first. We heard Brad Harrison's been sniffing around the foundation. He contacted me last week, pretending to be Thomas's executor. What did he want?
Financial records. Said he needed to restructure the foundation for efficiency. She snorted. I've seen his type before. My ex-husband was the same, all charm until he got what he wanted. Sarah pulled out her phone. I recorded the call. Brad offered me $10,000 to support his claim as executor. That's bribery. That's Brad, Maria said grimly. He also threatened to cancel our benefits if we didn't cooperate. Can he do that? Not if the real executor stops him. Dorothy leaned forward. Mrs. Mitchell, we know about the 6-month requirement. We know you're the intended executor. We're here to help. How? We've all written statements about Thomas's intentions, Brad's threats, and our support for you. We'll testify at the board meeting if needed. Sarah handed me a folder. There's more. I still have friends at the hospital. Brad's been asking about your medical history, trying to get you declared incompetent. My blood chilled. What? He's been telling people you're showing signs of dementia, that the isolation in Montana is making you paranoid. He's building a case for conservatorship. The pieces clicked. Jennifer's visit, the recording, the photos, evidence for Brad's false narrative. There's something else, Maria said quietly. One of us saw Brad meeting with someone at the Riverside Cafe. A woman named Patricia Morse. Who's that? She runs a private nursing home, the kind where families dump inconvenient relatives. Dorothy's voice hardened. The kind where people disappear. The threat was no longer just financial. Brad was planning to have me committed. We won't let that happen, Sarah said firmly. Thomas saved us. Now we save you. The flight to Washington, D.C. felt like flying into battle. David sat beside me, reviewing documents one final time. The board meeting's at 2, he said. Brad and Jennifer think it's routine. Annual review of foundation assets. They don't know you'll be there. Will the FBI be there? Outside. They need Brad to commit fraud in front of witnesses. He adjusted his glasses. Rachel, this might get ugly. Brad's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. I smoothed my navy suit, the one Thomas bought me for our 30th anniversary. Professional, authoritative, nothing like the weak woman Brad painted me as. I'm ready. The foundation's boardroom was impressive. Mahogany table, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Capitol. 12 board members were already seated when we arrived, including Judge Harrison, no relation to Brad, Senator Rebecca Martinez, and Dr. James Liu from Johns Hopkins. Mrs. Mitchell, Judge Harrison stood. Thomas spoke of you often. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. We've reviewed the documents Mr. Hutchinson provided. Senator Martinez said carefully. The situation is concerning. It's criminal, Dr. Liu said bluntly, but we need proof presented formally. At 1:45, I took my seat at the far end of the table, partially hidden behind a pillar. David sat with the board's legal counsel. At precisely 2 o'clock, Brad entered with Jennifer. He wore an expensive suit, hair slicked back, radiating confidence. Jennifer looked pale, exhausted. Ladies and gentlemen, Brad began without invitation, taking the presenter's position. Thank you for this opportunity to discuss the Foundation's future. Mr. Harrison, Judge Harrison interrupted, you're not on today's agenda. I represent the Mitchell family interests. Brad produced documents. As Jennifer's husband and Rachel Mitchell's power of attorney, I'm here to propose restructuring. We haven't seen any power of attorney, Senator Martinez noted. Brad's smile tightened. It's recent. Mrs. Mitchell, sadly, is showing signs of decline. The isolation in Montana has affected her mental state. That's interesting, Judge Harrison said, because we have different information. Brad's confidence flickered. What information? That's when I stood up. The color drained from Brad's face. Jennifer gasped. "Hello, Brad." I walked to the table's center, voice steady. "I believe you have some documents with my signature. I'd like to see them." Brad's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Behind him, Jennifer sank into a chair. "This desperate woman is clearly lying," Brad sputtered, recovering. "She's obviously unstable, showing up here making wild accusations." "The only accusation I'm making," I said calmly, "is that you forged my signature while I was in the hospital. Would you like to see the proof?" The room went silent. The real confrontation was about to begin.
Have you ever had to stand up to family members who betrayed you? The hardest battles are often with those we love most. Standing in that boardroom, facing my daughter's husband, I realized Thomas had prepared me for this moment. Every document, every recording, every ally, he'd orchestrated it all. If you're finding strength in Rachel's story, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes we have to fight for justice, even when it means fighting family. Now let me tell you about the confrontation that changed everything. Brad attempted to regroup, pulling out his phone. "Jennifer, call security. Your mother's having an episode." "I don't think so." Judge Harrison's voice cut through the room. "Mrs. Mitchell, please continue." I opened my folder, hands steady despite my racing heart. "These are the documents Mr. Harrison filed with the Foundation's bank." I passed copies to each board member. Notice the signature dates, January 18th through 20th. "So?" Brad's jaw clenched. "These are my medical records from Mercy General." More papers circulated. "I was admitted January 17th with severe pneumonia. I was intubated and unconscious until January 21st. Dr. Liu examined the records. This is accurate. No one could sign anything in this condition. She could have signed them before. The documents are notarized with those specific dates," David interrupted. "The notary claims she witnessed Rachel signing them on January 19th, while Rachel was on a ventilator." Brad's lawyer-smooth exterior cracked. "Those medical records could be falsified." "By an entire hospital?" Senator Martinez raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Harrison, this is serious fraud." I pulled out my laptop. "There's more. This is security footage from Thomas's Montana office dated January 15th. The video played on the boardroom screen. Jennifer and Brad's voices filled the room. Their entire conversation about the Foundation, the plan to wait me out, Brad's admission about DocuSign forgery. Jennifer made a sound like a wounded animal. Several board members gasped. That's taken out of context," Brad stammered. "Which part?" I asked. "The part where you called me weak? Or where you planned to steal $15 million meant for retired nurses?" "Jennifer, tell them!" Brad grabbed his wife's arm. "Tell them about your mother's mental state." Jennifer stood slowly, tears streaming. "Mom's not crazy. She's not weak." Her voice broke. "She's the strongest person I know." "Shut up, Jennifer." "No." She pulled away from him. "I'm done. Mom, I'm so sorry. He said if I didn't help, he'd—" She stopped, trembling. "He'd what?" Judge Harrison asked gently. "It doesn't matter. I chose wrong." Jennifer looked at me. "I'm not pregnant. I never was. Brad made me lie." The room erupted. Brad lunged toward the door, but security, apparently alerted by David earlier, blocked his path. "This is entrapment," Brad shouted. "I want my lawyer." "You'll need one," Judge Harrison said. "Mr. Hutchinson, I believe you have additional evidence." David smiled. 3 more forged documents, 2 bribery attempts, and 1 conspiracy to commit elder abuse by false institutionalization. Brad's face went white. "You can't prove." "Patricia Morse already confessed," David said simply. "The FBI has been quite thorough." Through the boardroom windows, we could see FBI agents in the lobby. Brad saw them too. "Jennifer!" He turned desperately to his wife. "Tell them you were involved. You knew everything." My daughter straightened her shoulders. "Yes, I knew, and I'm prepared to testify against you." The transformation in Brad was instant, from desperate to vicious. "You pathetic—" "That's enough," Judge Harrison nodded to security. "Remove him."
As security restrained Brad, David commanded the room's attention. "Board members, we have extensive evidence to present." The screen lit up with email after email. Brad's threats to Martha, his bribery attempts with the foundation beneficiaries, his correspondence with Patricia Morse about having me committed. This email particularly, David highlighted one, shows Mr. Harrison offering Martha Brennan $100,000 for information about the foundation, followed by explicit threats when she refused. Martha's recorded conversation played next, Brad's voice menacing and clear. "Old women living alone should be careful. Accidents happen." Dr. Liu shook his head. "This is witness intimidation."
It gets worse. David clicked to the next slide. Mr. Harrison has a history. Portland, 2019. Elderly mother-in-law suddenly incompetent after husband's death. Seattle, 2021. Similar pattern. Both cases settled out of court, sealed records, but the FBI provided summaries. He's done this before? Senator Martinez looked disgusted. 3 times that we know of. David turned to Jennifer. "Mrs. Harrison, do you have something to add?" Jennifer stood, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. "I've been recording Brad for 2 months, ever since Dad died and Brad started acting strange." She played a recording from her phone. Brad's voice from just 3 nights ago.
"Your mother's almost broken. One more push and she'll sign everything. Then we get her committed. Patricia's place is perfect. They keep them drugged and compliant. 6 months later, we inherit everything." "You recorded this?" Brad screamed at Jennifer. "You betrayed me?" "You betrayed me first," Jennifer said quietly. "You promised we'd just get our fair share. You never said anything about destroying my mother." Judge Harrison raised his hand for silence. "Mrs. Mitchell, Rachel, do you have anything to add?" I stood meeting each board member's eyes. My husband built this foundation to help people who spent their lives helping others. Nurses who gave everything and were left with nothing. Brad Harrison tried to steal that legacy. I turned to Brad. "You called me weak. You said I contributed nothing to Thomas's success, but Thomas and I built our life together. While he made money, I saved lives. While he made deals, I held dying patients' hands. Neither of us was weak. We were partners." "This is all very touching," Brad snarled, "but you can't prove damages. No money was actually stolen." "Actually," a new voice spoke from the doorway. FBI agent Sarah Coleman entered, badge visible. "Attempted fraud is still fraud. Conspiracy is still criminal. Mr. Harrison, you're under arrest." As the agents cuffed Brad, he made one last desperate play. "Jennifer planned everything. Check her emails. She knew about the foundation before I did." Jennifer pulled out a folder. "These are emails between Brad and his real girlfriend in Miami. He's been planning to divorce me once he got the money. I'm just another mark to him." Brad's face contorted with rage, but the agents were already leading him away. "I have one more thing to show you," I said to the board, my voice steady despite the chaos. The boardroom fell silent as I connected Thomas's USB drive to the presentation system. His face appeared on screen, thin but determined, clearly in his final days. "Members of the board, if you're watching this, then Rachel has found her strength, and Brad has shown his true nature." Several board members leaned forward. Jennifer began crying quietly. "I apologize for the deception, but it was necessary. Brad Harrison is a predator who targets grieving families. I've watched him isolate my daughter, manipulate her, control her. I couldn't stop it while alive. Jennifer had to choose him. But I could protect the foundation and, more importantly, protect Rachel." Thomas paused, his eyes focused directly at the camera. "Rachel, my love, you're probably wondering why I didn't just tell you everything. The answer is simple. You would have tried to save everyone immediately. You always do. But Jennifer needed to see Brad without your protection. She needed to hit bottom to find her strength, just as you needed to be pushed to find yours." He shifted papers on his desk. "Jennifer, sweetheart, I know you're watching. I know you're in pain. Brad is a master manipulator. None of this is your fault. But now you have a choice. Stand with your mother or lose her forever." Jennifer stood and walked to me, collapsing into my arms. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry." Thomas continued. To the board, the Foundation's mission remains unchanged. Help those who helped others. Rachel will be an excellent executor. She understands service in ways I never could. His expression softened. Brad, if you're watching this from federal custody, know this. I knew exactly who you were from day one. Every move you made, every threat, every forgery, I anticipated it all. You thought you were hunting Rachel, but you were always the prey. The video shifted to documents on screen. These are Brad's real financial records. He's not a successful broker. He's bankrupt, living off credit cards and schemes. The FBI has everything. Thomas reappeared, now speaking directly to me. Rachel, the Montana house isn't just a test or a fortress. It's where I wrote my first business plan, where I dreamed of our future. It's where you'll build the Foundation's future. Martha has the architectural plans. We're turning it into a retreat center for retired nurses, a place of healing. His voice grew tender. You were never weak, my love. You were patient. There's a difference. While I built wealth, you built character. While I accumulated assets, you accumulated wisdom. The Foundation needs your heart, not just my money. I love you, Rachel. I've always loved you. Take care of our daughter. She's going to need you now, more than ever. The screen went dark. The boardroom sat in stunned silence. Judge Harrison cleared his throat. I move to confirm Rachel Mitchell as permanent executor of the Mitchell Foundation. Seconded, said Senator Martinez immediately. The vote was unanimous. All in favor? Judge Harrison asked. 12 hands rose without hesitation. The motion passes unanimously. Mrs. Rachel Mitchell is hereby confirmed as executor of the Mitchell Foundation. He banged a ceremonial gavel. Congratulations, Rachel. Through the windows, we watched FBI agents escort Brad to a waiting vehicle. He was still shouting, though we couldn't hear the words. Jennifer stood beside me, trembling. What happens now? Agent Coleman re-entered. Mr. Harrison will be charged with fraud, forgery, conspiracy, and elder abuse. With the evidence provided, he's looking at 15 to 20 years. And Jennifer? I asked. Mrs. Harrison has agreed to cooperate fully. The prosecutor will likely grant immunity in exchange for testimony. Jennifer's phone rang. She looked at it, confused. It's Brad's attorney. Put it on speaker, Judge Harrison suggested. The attorney's voice was professionally calm. Mrs. Harrison, I'm calling to inform you that Mr. Harrison had significant debts you may not be aware of, nearly $2 million across various creditors. As his spouse... She's filing for divorce, David interrupted. Today, emergency protective order due to domestic abuse. There was no physical abuse, Jennifer protested weakly. Financial abuse, emotional abuse, coercive control, all forms of domestic violence under federal law, David explained. I'll handle everything. Dr. Liu spoke up. The Foundation would like to offer something as well. Mrs. Harrison, Jennifer, your father established a separate educational fund. If you complete counseling and contribute 200 hours of community service with our beneficiaries, you'll receive support for a fresh start. Jennifer broke down completely. After everything I did? Your father anticipated this too, Senator Martinez said gently. He believed in second chances. I held my daughter as she sobbed. Over her shoulder, I saw the 12 board members, successful, powerful people who Thomas had chosen carefully. They weren't just board members. They were witnesses to justice. There's one more matter, Judge Harrison said. The Montana property. Rachel, do you intend to fulfill the 6-month residency requirement? I've already started. 3 weeks down, 5 months to go. That won't be necessary, Dr. Liu smiled. The requirement was to prevent Brad from claiming the estate. With his arrest and the board's vote, you're free to live wherever you choose. I thought about the house in Montana, Thomas's refuge, my fortress, now my choice rather than my exile. I'll split my time, I decided. Montana for the retreat center project, D.C. for foundation business. And Jennifer? Judge Harrison asked carefully.
I looked at my daughter, broken but not destroyed, wounded but not lost. Jennifer needs to find her own path first, but my door will be open when she's ready. Jennifer squeezed my hand. I understand. I need to earn it. For the first time since Thomas died, I felt something like peace. Not complete, not perfect, but a beginning. Meeting adjourned, Judge Harrison announced. Welcome to your new life, Rachel. 6 months later, Montana felt like home. The October air was crisp as I stood on the renovated porch, watching construction crews transform the property into the Mitchell Foundation Retreat Center. Martha joined me with morning coffee. The first group arrives next month, 12 retired nurses from across the country. Thomas would be proud. He is proud, wherever he is. Martha smiled. You did it, Rachel. You saved everything he built. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. She sent these daily now, part of her therapy process. Today's included a photo from her volunteer shift at the Seattle Free Clinic. She looked healthy, clear-eyed, herself again. How's she doing? Martha asked. Better. The divorce finalized last month. She's in nursing school now. Following in your footsteps? Finding her own way. But yes, she wants to help people. David's car pulled up the drive. He emerged with a thick folder and a satisfied expression. Final FBI report, he announced. Brad got 18 years. No possibility of parole for 10. I felt no satisfaction, just relief. And the other victims? Restitution from his seized assets. Not much, but something. He handed me another document. The Foundation's quarterly report. We've helped 200 retired healthcare workers this quarter alone. The numbers were just numbers. What mattered were the stories. Sarah Chen opening her own clinic, Dorothy Williams teaching again, Maria Santos reunited with her grandchildren. There's one more thing, David said. Jennifer asked me to give you this. A handwritten letter, multiple pages. I'd read it later, privately. Is she ready? Martha asked gently. Almost. She's asked to spend Christmas here, just the two of us. That's progress. I thought about the journey, from that humiliating dinner where Brad threw me out, to the terrifying discovery in the basement, through the confrontation that exposed everything. 6 months to rebuild not just my life, but my relationship with my daughter. The retreat center was more than Thomas's dream. It had become mine. Next month, 12 women who'd given their careers to caring for others would find rest here. The month after, 12 more. Rachel, one of the construction workers called out. We found something in the walls. Looks like Mr. Mitchell left you another surprise. It was a time capsule. Photos from our early marriage, love letters, and a final note. For Rachel, when you've won. All my love, forever. I held the letter to my chest, looking out at the mountains. Thomas was gone. Brad was in prison. Jennifer was healing, and I was finally, truly free. Not weak, never weak. Just patient, like Thomas always knew. I sit in Thomas's study, my study now, watching the first snow of winter dust the Montana mountains. The retreat center's opening was a success. 12 retired nurses, all with stories of struggle and survival, spent 2 weeks healing in the place that had healed me. Jennifer's letter sits on my desk, worn from rereading. Mom, I don't expect forgiveness, only understanding. Brad didn't just manipulate me. He made me believe I was worthless without him. Every day he told me I was lucky he chose me, that Dad loved me more than you because I was weaker, needed protection. I believed him because believing him was easier than fighting. When you stood up in that boardroom, when you faced him down with such dignity, I saw the truth. You were never weak. You were patient, strategic, loving even when I didn't deserve it. You showed me that strength isn't about power or money. It's about knowing your worth and defending it. I'm not ready to come home yet. I need to prove to myself that I can stand alone. But someday, when I've earned it, I hope to sit with you on that porch and learn who Rachel Mitchell really is. All my love, Jennifer. The doorbell rings, a FedEx delivery. Inside, a thick envelope from the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Brad has written me a letter.
I consider burning it unread, but curiosity wins. His handwriting is still arrogant, even from prison. You think you've won, but Jennifer will always be damaged. You'll never have your daughter back. Not really. Enjoy your empty victory. I feed his letter to the fireplace, watching his words turn to ash. He's wrong. Jennifer and I are both finding our way back, not to what we were, but to something better, stronger, more honest. Martha knocks, entering with tea. The second retreat group is fully booked. Sarah Chen wants to run a cardiac care workshop. Perfect. And Jennifer called. She passed her first semester with honors. Pride swells in my chest. My daughter, finding her strength. I think about the title of my story, The Rundown House in Montana That Changed Everything. It wasn't about the house, really. It was about the test Thomas created, the strength he knew I had, the truth that needed revealing. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money or property. Sometimes it's the chance to discover who you really are when everything else is stripped away. Sometimes it's learning that being patient isn't being weak. It's being wise enough to wait for the right moment to show your power. The Montana mountains stand eternal outside my window, and I am finally, completely home. Thank you for joining Rachel's journey. If you've ever felt manipulated by family or struggled to set boundaries, remember, your worth isn't determined by others' opinions. Please subscribe for more stories of courage and redemption. Share this with someone who needs to remember their own strength. What would you have done in Rachel's place? Would you have signed those papers to keep the peace or stood your ground like she did? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, remember, you deserve respect, especially from those who claim to love you. True love doesn't manipulate or control. It empowers and protects.